Awaye sepai satelu, mua o tahas u satelu upus, loloa umues u sazopayawa, vai pai pus utamares. Arusian is a language I've been working on since 2014, and the writing system since 2009. Arusian is my first and only Conlang, and I have been working on it ever since. The language is not based on any naturalistic language in which its core vocabulary was entirely made up. However, the language does borrow some vocabulary from French, English, and various other languages. The language has evolved over the years and never was planned in how it was going to develop, so now I feel it has reached a level where I can present it. This language is known as the language of the coast, as its speakers originate from the warm coast and beach areas. There are several cultural elements that the speakers of this language have. This culture revolves around a concept called Negation, a form of animism where the universe and surrounding environment has a soul, and that soul is a part of every single conscious being, such as humans and other animals. Due to this belief, it is common for Arusians to religiously value and preserve the natural environment. Even for non-believers, this is still mostly practiced, as this concept is baked into the culture. Buddhism and Buddhist practices are also common and often mixed with Nahai practices and traditions. Arusian has a moderately small consonant inventory. Most of its consonants are quite common across many languages, except for its post-alveolar and uvular fricatives. It also has a 6-vowel system, making the language's consonant-vowel ratio moderately low. Pronouns are quite different from how they behave in English. In this language, they are built by agglutinating roots together, given a wide variety of pronouns, some of which not present in English. For example, Arusian distinguishes between inclusive and exclusive we, where the inclusive form includes the listener, and the exclusive excludes the listener. There is no gender distinction in third-person pronouns, and instead uses an obviative system, where one pronoun refers to the topic, and the obviative form refers to any non-topic. The language also includes a special second-person pronoun, specifically used for commands. Roots are the building blocks of Arusian grammar, as the grammar is based around turning roots into verbs. All roots in the language are nouns by default, and can be turned into verbs by putting special verbalizer suffixes after them. These verbalized roots conjugate for voice and transitivity. Words are linked together to form basic clauses using the copula sa. In this example, the sentence is made up of a topic and a comment. All sentences in Arusian begin with a topic and end with a comment. Sa functions as a copula that introduces the comment describing its head. Comments are not exclusive to only describing topics, they can describe other noun elements in a sentence as well, but in this case, sa is linking the comment to the topic. Elements in a sentence can be reversed as well, while remaining that the topic is still the first word of the sentence. As you may see, topicalization is marked by word order in this language. Also, notice the sa copula becomes suffixed to the comment root. Sa becomes suffixed only when the comment root ends with a vowel. When the comment is made up of multiple roots, or if a root ends with a consonant, the copula sa must be used, as suffixing is not possible for those cases. Also, it's important to mention that sa has several different structural uses, and arguably is one of the most important structural words in the language. While sa introduces comments, at the same time, it introduces noun phrases and clauses, acting like both of and that in English. Word order is quite variable, as it is used to mark different types of registers. There are 3 possible word orders that one can use for different social situations. As such, SVO is used among family members and close friends, OSV is used for anyone and is the most neutral register, and VOS is used for elders and people of great authority. like a king or a queen. If there is no object in a sentence, intransitive verb forms are used. Intransitive verbs behave structurally like nouns, thus, they get the copula sa. Such as before, the elements in the sentence can be reversed as well, making the intransitive verb the topic instead of its subject. To negate a sentence, a noun meaning something along the lines of void or emptiness is placed in front of the clause as the topic. This negator noun makes the following comment clause negative. Arusian's morphosyntactic alignment is not the nominative accusative system we are used to in English. Instead, Arusian uses symmetrical voice, or otherwise known as Austronesian alignment or Philippine alignment. In Arusian's version of symmetrical voice, voice suffixes on the verb indicate what semantic role the subject has. There are two possible voice suffixes, being agent voice and oblique voice. Oblique voice refers to any voice that's not agent. This includes voices like patient, locative, instrumental, or temporal. Here we have the subject in blue, the verb in red, and the object is the topic of the sentence. The verb has the agent suffix, thus, the subject is the agent in this sentence. It's also important to note that the verb acts like a modifier of the subject. This is how the subject is marked. Now, we see that the verb has the oblique suffix, meaning the subject, still indicated in blue, is not the agent, but rather the patient. Here, using a different verb root, the verb is an agent voice, meaning the subject is the agent. Now the verb is an oblique voice, meaning the subject is not the agent, but rather the locative. Same thing as before, the verb is an agent voice, and now in temporal voice. Arusian lacks relative pronouns to build complex sentences, or at least not in the same way as most European languages. Instead, Arusian uses clausal resumptive pronouns. Resumptive pronouns are words that refer back to previous information in a sentence. These pronouns are one of the main ways how Arusian builds more complex syntactic structures. There are two resumptive pronouns in Arusian. One refers back to the topic clause, and the other refers back to a clause in the comment. In this example, we have the sentence Mes bus usate lupaya, which literally means the house is here, it that we are at. The clause mes bus, meaning the house is here, is the topic of the sentence. The resumptive pronoun u refers to the topic, that then links to the modifier sate lupaya, a comment clause meaning something like that we are located at. Modifiers cannot directly link to clauses, so a resumptive pronoun is used in their place. Here, we have the topic mes des, but the modifier linking to its topical resumptive pronoun is a single comment root. In this example, we have the comment clause being referred to by the resumptive pronoun we. We is used here as it is referring to a clause in the comment. We is then linking to the modifier baya, which is an agent transitive verb. It is also possible to use we and u in the same sentence, as a topic clause and a comment clause can exist in the same sentence. Adverbs, or different methods of adverbial marking, are used to describe or modify verbs. A common way of forming adverbs is by using the adverbial copula sasa, which is then followed by a root or a clause, making up the adverbial phrase. One can also form an adverbial-like construction by using resumptive pronouns. However, instead of the verb being modified, it's the whole clause. Reversing the elements allows to focus on the adverbial-like phrase. Arusian word formation is primarily isolating, with some agglutinative features in verb formation. Roots can also come together to create more complex words. For example, here we have the root gai, meaning art. The root kai can be combined with other roots to give a new meaning. In this case, the word means artist or creator. In this construction, the third-person pronoun is the head of the intransitive verb gaya, meaning creating or making. Because the intransitive verbs are nouns, one can use them to build agent nouns. And we can do the same by combining the pronoun with an oblique intransitive verb. Nounal roots can be linked together as well to build new words. These noun roots can then be turned into verbs by suffixing verbalizers to each root in the word, which then can be turned into agent or oblique nouns by using the third-person head marking as mentioned before. It is also important to mention that the third-person pronoun changes depending on if it's the topic of the sentence or in the comment position. As we can see in this example, the agent noun, sukaya, is a topic of the sentence and thus uses the head, su. And when it's not the topic, it becomes sokaya. Discourse markers are used to convey different types of questions. Intonation does not change when asking questions, so speakers of Arusian rely on discourse markers to mark questions from statements. There are several different types of markings. One's marking open-ended questions from polar questions, to request, and even mirative or surprise speech. So, those are the most important features about Arusian grammar. Not everything about the language was covered in this video, but there is more to come in future videos about specific topics. And if you made it this far, Dea wimahas uedahas.